Hey y'all, I am absolutely thrilled to be coming to you live from the Maple here in Excelsior, where we do our in-person episodes with the Power9 podcast. My name's Aaron Eggert. Today, I'm pumped to have someone I've been trying to get on the show for a while. One, he's a partner at Seiler Law. They focus on partnering with organizations that kind of need some outside general counsel. And so the work that they do is obviously super important. I consider them one of the big four from a relationship standpoint for an entrepreneur. And it happens to be a reason why I do business with Seiler Law. So you're my guy. So it's fun. We're not going to dig into all my legal stuff, but we're going to start talking about some cool stuff about your journey for a change. So I'm super pumped to have on the show today my friend James Olsen.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. All right. Let's dig into this stuff. So when did we start working together?
Well, we met in
2019? No, I think it was before that, 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And then at Coffee and Closers, and then kind of developed friendship over that time.
Yeah.
And I think we started working together towards the beginning of COVID, mid-COVID.
Yeah, right when things started to get real with Coalition9.
Yep.
And I needed like a real
you'd kind of done
attorney.
your first iteration of Coalition9, and
Yeah.
it was
and things
briefly
started to
after
get,
that. Yeah.
when it became a viable business.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Okay, good. All right, so we established all that fun stuff. So, you know, I say this over and over and over, and one of the things I absolutely love about doing this podcast is I have you do a prep form, and I don't use it, obviously, during this conversation, but it helps me just get my head in the game, and I forget, like, that you're not born and raised in Minneapolis, and I forget that you've kind of been on different aspects or different parts of the United States. So to me, I think that's going to be a fascinating part about your story, and so I just want to dig into that. So where were you born?
Well, to correct that, I was born in Minneapolis.
Oh, you were?
But we moved out of Minneapolis when I was 3. So
3, that's right. 3 to 10.
3 to 10, I was in Chicago
Right.
area, Vernon Hills, and then 10 through 22 was out in Seattle, Issaquah.
So was it due to one of your mom or dad business stuff?
Yeah, so my dad was a pastor. So that's what took us from Minneapolis to Chicago, and then while he was doing that, he was also doing his doctorate in business and engineering at Northwestern. So he ended up teaching and was teaching at Seattle Pacific University, which took us out to Seattle. So,
Gotcha.
So that's kind of why we ended up around, was not a military baby.
No, yeah. But
And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so.
the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were a business baby?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, how many siblings you got?
4 siblings.
4 siblings?
So there are 5 of us. So I've got older sister, older brother. I'm right in the middle, and then 2 younger brothers. So I'm right in the middle as far as
you're
age.
like dead in the middle.
There's 2 years, 4 years, 4 years, 2 years.
Oh, really?
So
And that's a pretty tight window there for.
Yeah.
I just had Brian Adamak on. I just recorded with him. He's having his 6th kid.
Yep.
Like that is 5 kids, 6 kids. Like these big families.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me. Not having kids and only growing up with one brother.
Yeah.
Like it's just I can only like. Were you a good kid?
I was a good kid. I was the rule follower.
You were.
Yeah.
That's interesting for being a middle kid.
Yes. Well, because I was kind of the forgotten one. I mean, in some ways, right? I mean, there are times where, I joked with music, right? Music was one of those things that I never got pushed into doing. My other siblings, yes. I think I played the violin for like a month. And then
that's a big month, yeah.
And then a screechy month, right? Like,
right, yeah.
Hot cross buns was all I could play. And then I played the saxophone for like a year, and then we moved to Seattle. And they wanted me when I got to Seattle, they wouldn't let me do band unless I played the trumpet. And I'm kind of one of those people. If you tell me what to do, I'm like, not gonna do it. So,
yeah.
So,
me too.
So I just said I'm not gonna do the trumpet, and then was done.
So what was your jam then? Like were you into sports?
I did sports, so baseball, basketball. High school did track and cross country.
What years were you in Seattle?
So we moved out there in 1991, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was there through 2004.
Yeah. Huh.
So
Did you? The music scene was interesting out in Seattle. I'm a huge one of the dudes here. I was just ran into him. He had a Pearl Jam hat on, and I'm like, oh my god, Pearl Jam's my favorite band in the world. Yeah. Did that have any Did you have any impact on you? Like see that scene?
Yeah, I mean, I was around it. I had friends in bands. You know, everybody was in a band. Yeah. Not myself, obviously, with my 1 year saxophone and 1 month of
1 month of violin.
Violin,
your screechy violin.
But no, I mean it was there, and there were guys. I guess we were in 6th grade when Kurt Cobain committed suicide, right? And I knew people that were carving Kurt in their arm with the school compass, right?
Geez. Yeah, that's intense.
So I mean, there were those kind of people that were just super
massive.
into Pearl Jam, Nirvana,
Soundgarden, all
Green
that.
Day. You know, Scott, my business partner, very into Green Day.
Green Day?
Favorite band, yes.
Are you kidding me?
Huge Green Day fan.
Oh, yeah. So episode, I can't remember what episode he was on, but Scott was on. He was great. He did. So I'm glad to finally have you on, obviously. But Green Day, huh? Yeah. How can I not get that out of him in that? I would never have guessed that either.
So yeah.
Interesting.
That's his go-to music.
Fun fact. What's your go-to music?
I like 21 Pilots.
Oh.
Or if I'm gonna go back to like high school days, I did a lot of Pink Floyd and Rusted Root.
Oh. Yeah.
So I mean, I listened to the Seattle garage band stuff, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that. I actually went to a Pearl Jam concert in college, which Red Hot Chili Peppers was opening for.
Sweet.
And I fell asleep during Red Hot Chili Peppers.
You did? How do you fall asleep during Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No idea. I think I've had a sleep problem for a long time. So
yeah.
I can fall asleep anywhere.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, is that one of my? I don't think that's one of my 9
Probably
questions.
not.
Really? Literally, if I were to say, if you were here early, is this just? And how many kids do you have?
4.
4 kids. Okay, so you're
which is why you last time you asked me to be on this, it was right before we had Magnus.
That's
so
right.
It was couldn't swing it.
Yeah,
so.
and that's probably smart. Yeah, but so with 4 kids, you're do you just try and grab a wink every time you can? So this could be like a curse and a gift at the same time.
Yeah.
To where let's say you get here to record 15 minutes early, could you just knock out a 10-minute nap?
If I was tired enough, yes. So I mean, there were times in law school where I think there was one time I had 5 minutes between class.
Yeah.
And I was falling asleep in the first class. I was I felt off, and I was like, I just need to get 2 minutes of sleep. So I went into a dark closet room and laid down, set an alarm for 3 minutes later, and popped right back up.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But did
you feel good?
I fell asleep. Yeah, I felt refreshed.
Do you feel good after naps?
If I take a very short power nap, I'll feel refreshed.
Up to 20 minutes, probably.
If I take anything beyond that, I'm a zombie.
I'm just not a napper.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about a little bit your journey. Did you feel how much of an impact? Now 5 kids. I just don't even know. I'm trying to figure out how to even ask this, but did the nature versus nurture question? What did nature make you the way you're wired when you're just born make you driven to want to be an attorney and do all the things that you decided to do, or do you think that your upbringing had a little bit of an impact on that? Do you have anybody else in the legal profession in your family?
In my family, no, I'm the
What
only.
made you want to be a lawyer? Because didn't you go to school for
That's a good question.
Didn't you originally go to school for Catholic studies or something like that?
No, so so I went to undergrad. What I wanted to do in undergrad was broadcast journalism and film.
Oh.
So I had originally gotten into a small private Christian school in California called Azusa Pacific.
Okay.
I'd gone down and visited them. They had a program where you would do on-campus news TV, and then they had internships at places like Pixar, DreamWorks, different studios. And so that was kind of where I was wanting to go. Mm-hmm. And then they sent me an acceptance letter and said, here's your acceptance, but we can't give you a room or roommates. So you have to live off campus. It's well, I'm going to be paying through the nose already.
Yeah.
Can't afford to live off campus. My mom had smartly recommended I apply to, multiple and send in the fees for multiple just in case something happened.
Yep.
So I had done that with University of Washington as well.
Oh.
at that point, I kind of, my best friend from high school was like, hey, I'm going to check out the fraternity that both our brothers were in at University of Washington.
Yep.
And I said, well, I'll come with you because I might be going there now.
Yeah.
And had a blast with them and signed up there on the spot and was like, yeah, I'm going to join the fraternity. I'm going to go to University of Washington. And
really?
And then like a week later, I get another letter from Azusa saying, here's your room and your roommates. And I was like, what happened there?
Yeah, right.
And so I called them up and they're like, well, we had you as two of the James Olsens at the same address. And it's kind of one of those, this is where the like rebel in me, as far as like I don't want to do what you asked me to do. Yeah. It's kind of like, well, I could go there now, but you messed it up, so I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, it was out of principle.
It's like, yeah,
that's 100%. Like, I have a problem with authority, and that's going to 100% be like, I'll do it despite you now.
Yeah. And so, for better or worse, that's the choice I made, right? And so I ended up going to University of Washington studying film and comparative literature, and then with a minor in Italian, and then so that set me on film path in a different way. I was going to teach high school and teach film in high school. That was my plan. And then I had a whole different journey. So, I mean, I actually never thought about law school until I was, and I'm assuming we might get there, but
let's just dig in.
Until I was in England. So after undergrad, I went to England and worked and lived in England on a work visa. My brother was studying at Oxford. He and his wife were expecting their first kid. And so moved there, worked there, and then fell into a job at Siemens manufacturing, healthcare manufacturing, and was building MRI scanners. And, my job title was Terminator. So that was, like the film nut in me was like, I'm a Terminator, right?
Yeah. Do you wear a metal suit to work every day? No.
Well, but I was, I had to wear like certain suits when I was messing with the acids and stuff that we were doing. But, so that's kind of, that took me to England. And then I was working my way up at Siemens, and I ended up managing a team of 10 electrical engineers in that department. And my mentor at Siemens was like, hey, you're doing great here. You should really look at grad school, and that would give you a leg up in these different areas. I mean, I already had a degree, so that gave me a leg up to a lot of the people that were working in factory.
Yep.
And then, so I was looking at grad schools, and then my dad was like, everybody's getting their MBA. Why would you do that? Why don't you look at law school? Because that's kind of the way you're wired. And so I started looking at law school, and then I had actually converted to Catholicism over in England. So so I was Protestant prior, and my dad was evangelical free pastor.
Okay, cool.
So totally different.
I know faith was a big part of your upbringing. And stuff like that, but
and so I mean that's kind of what kept me on the straight and narrow, was the that kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
I wasn't the rebellious pastor's kid that you hear about, right?
Yeah.
That was my sister and my brother a little bit, but
good. That's a whole other podcast.
But so then like I had all that, and I was looking for a Catholic school, and that's why St. Thomas. I found St. Thomas. They had they were a newer Catholic law school, and then they had the joint degree, so I could do a joint law and MA in Catholic studies. So I did the joint degree.
Do you have, when you're in England and you're making the decision to go to law school, why St. Thomas? Like, why Minneapolis? Do you have family here and stuff like that?
No. So my dad was going through cancer for a second time, so that was kind of part of the impetus for coming back to the States. And he's fine now, but
cool.
That's kind of, that was like, okay, if we're coming back to the States, like, what is that? So the impetus for Minnesota was, I know you call it your test spouse, right? I was practice spouse. So as a Catholic, we would say, I was in a presumptive marriage, right? So we presume that you're married, but then we have a process, an annulment process. If something happens to where, if there was something there that didn't allow you to fully make that decision freely, then the church recognizes, well, there was something there, and the marriage is invalid from church rules. So ex-spouse wanted to move to Minnesota because she went to St. Olaf, had friends here. So that was why Minnesota. I was kind of like, I don't have a reason for anywhere in particular.
Yeah.
And sounds good, so ended up back here.
Were you a good undergrad student, high school / undergrad student?
Well, yes. I mean, I had good grades. It came easy to me. It was one of those things where I didn't study too hard. I was like, I didn't have to try too hard to get decent grades. And then when I was pushed too hard to do certain things, then it was kind of like, maybe. So I always had good grades, but probably for the wrong reasons. I wasn't, trying to really like deeply learn the material.
Yeah.
I was good at cramming and good at test taking, and
that was it.
And doing what
you
I
can hammer it out.
what I needed to do, right?
And I think that can get you through. That can really benefit you in law school.
It can. It can also hurt in law school because I didn't have great study skills going into law school, and I never really liked reading, and so and law school is it's all like 1,000-page
crazy
textbooks that are cases, and everything you're doing is reading the cases, then having to regurgitate them and figure out what's going on there and who the parties are doing what, and what's the rule that you're supposed to have, the issue, the rule, the analysis, and the conclusion, right? And so it's
fascinating.
They teach you. It's called IRAC, so that's kind of the structure of each thing that you're learning. But the amount of reading, I don't think I thought too closely about that, because once I got in, I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I don't like reading, and I don't want to write all this stuff.
Did you make it through all right?
I made it fine. I had a little blip where I actually withdrew from law school. My sister-in-law had some problems with her pregnancy. She had twins, and so my brother needed some help in Pennsylvania with his other two boys, and so I actually went out to Pennsylvania to help for a semester, and I did an extension of Catholic studies out there, so remote, and then took some time off from law school. I figured I'm already in for 4 years because I'm doing a dual program anyways, so what's one more semester if I'm behind at all?
Yeah.
And
you got a partner for a bit.
And so while I was out there, I kind of had I was like, well, what am I doing in law school? Because I don't, I like working with my hands, and I like building things, and I like all I'm doing is these pieces of paper, and
using your brain
and arguing, and it's I have not always loved doing that, right? I think I've grown an appreciation for doing it, and I like it now in aspects, but I've always kind of had this struggle with what I'm doing, because it is, I've had to rethink what I'm doing as a lawyer, right? And that I am helping people build, and I'm helping people create, and I'm serving other people, and that feeds me, but creating that piece of paper is not always so satisfying. I'm like,
it's like the results.
I spent 6 hours working on 3 sheets of paper, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can get a little bit disheartening for someone who likes to be active and moving and building something.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Hear from some of our community supporters. Seiler Law is one of them. So let's have that be the first one, and we'll listen to those ads and support our community supporters, because they help make our community happen and this podcast happen. And then we'll be right back with James. Regardless if you're a startup just figuring things out or a medium-sized organization with a full team, having a legal partner by your side is crucial. Seiler Law is fiercely loyal to their clients and are passionate about removing headaches and roadblocks that can pop up during the growth of your business. Whether you need general outside counsel, are planning a business transaction, or even need someone to guide you through the estate planning process, the team at Seiler Law are the advocates for you. Visit seilerlaw.com to learn more. Seiler Law, where experience meets pragmatism. The topic of talent is hot in organizations of any size, and I would argue none more than small to mid-sized businesses. That's why it's crucial to have a partner to help you navigate all the HR idiosyncrasies so you can focus on working on your business and not in it. Insperity is a full-service HR partner with a high-touch, high-tech platform helping owners work through challenges like employee retention, company culture, and benefits, just to name a few. Do yourself a favor and explore all they have to offer at Insperity.com. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. For more than 20 years, Kaisa has been the trusted financial advisor for women, business owners, executives, and high net worth families, developing financial plans designed to meet them where they are and propel them to where they want to be. Their mission is to remove the worry and stress associated with financial planning and replace it with clarity and confidence. The Kaisa team takes the time to understand each client's unique situation, from financial concerns to the visions that they have for current and future generations, in order to create a truly customized plan. Through consistent communication and personal attentiveness, Kaisa is fiercely devoted to personal well-being and financial prosperity. Get to know the Kaisa team and how they can serve you at kaisawealth.com. If you're anything like me, you know enough to be dangerous when it comes to finance, yet need some help when things get complicated. All-in-One Accounting provides the right financial expertise and leadership to align with your stage of growth. From outsourced accounting and bookkeeping to strategic financial planning, the team of accounting rock stars at All-in-One Accounting are passionate about positively impacting the businesses and lives of their clients. You need to check them out at allinOneAccounting.com. All-in-One Accounting, taking our clients from financial chaos to business clarity and beyond. United Healthcare is dedicated to helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone by simplifying the healthcare experience, meeting consumer health and wellness needs, and sustaining trusted relationships with care providers. UHC is continually focused on building a modern, high-performing health system via improved access, affordability, outcomes, and experiences. With a network of over 1.6 million physicians and healthcare professionals in over 6,000 hospitals, United Healthcare is dedicated to connecting employers and their employees to better health by offering quality benefits designed for affordability. For more information, visit United Healthcare at www.uhc.com. United Healthcare, helping people live healthier lives. All right, we're back with James Olsen. So I felt like that was a natural break because now we're getting kind of in your legal career. So what was your first real legal job, air quotes?
Well, so I had an internship in law school, but as far as my first real legal job, when I finished law school, and I had, because I took that semester off in Pennsylvania, and actually ended up not for a while leaving my Catholic Studies degree and not finishing it until I married my wife. And she had me go back and finish it. But but I left it, and so that put me back a semester from my classmates. Plus, I had left law school to go to art school. To do photography.
All right, we'll dig into that.
We'll dig into that later, yes. But and so that put me behind. So I did some summer school and caught up, and I walked with my class, but then I had to go back for a semester. So they all finished in May 2010. I finished in December 2010.
Yep, cool.
Everybody's worst nightmare. You walk, but you got to go back, right?
That sounds miserable. Celebrate and then go back and have to hammer it out. Oh.
And then the last semester was a little hard because none of my friends were there. I mean, some were because I had younger classmate friends, but it was like all my core people were gone, right? Yeah. But after that, I had actually reached out to an old employer of mine who, when I came back from England the first time, right before law school, my dad was, like I said, going through cancer treatment. So I went back to Seattle for the summer before moving to Minnesota and worked with him, kind of taking over the project he was running within Microsoft, because he did business consulting in Microsoft for the last 25 years. Not so much anymore. He does some other stuff. But at that time, that's what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And so I took over his role and kind of project managed that project he was working on. And so the head of HR that I was working with there, when I finished law school, I reached out to him. I said, hey, just want to let you know I'm done with law school. He said, great. What are you doing for work? And I said, I don't know yet. And he said, well, TBD. I've got a role if you want one, if you can get, credentials through your dad's business again, I can hire you. So I went back to Seattle, and after I took the bar here, and worked for my dad's business, and kind of, I worked in the HR department there at Microsoft doing project management again, but then I was also doing kind of in-house counsel stuff for my dad's business and helping him negotiate some deals where half his team wanted to take some IP and leave and go do their own thing, and so then negotiating some of that contract and the severance and all that, and helping him with the contracts with Microsoft and hiring and getting new employees that I would then manage within the system. So
how long did you do that for?
Did that for a year and a half, and then I followed a girl back to Minnesota. Didn't marry her, but ended up back in Minnesota, which led me to my wife, which was a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
And
your wife's from here?
No, she's from North Dakota.
Oh, she
Bismarck.
is? Yeah, okay.
And so I did that about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then when I moved back to Minnesota, it was a little more difficult for me to do it remotely than I thought. And so that contract ended, and Microsoft didn't renew it. And I sort of had made the call to try to do some work here instead. And so my former classmate, Simeon Morby, had just opened his own firm, and he was looking for a partner. He said, hey, do you want to do legal work? And I said, well, I'm not really, but I might as well put my law degree to work. And so we opened a firm and had that for about 4 years.
You did? And what kind
of
work
that was in Northeast Minneapolis, right above
really?
Dangerous Man Brewery.
Oh, yeah. Now closed, and now, there's a restaurant going in there, which is cool.
Which is unfortunate. It's the best beer in town. So I mean, they're still brewing it, and they're still putting it into stores and stuff. So
is it the best one in town because of the
logo? No, well, that too. I mean, yes. The kids.
Those of you watching on YouTube will understand what I'm talking about.
The peanut butter porter is a very good.
I have had that.
Very good beer.
I'm not a huge beer fan, and I have had that, and it's very good.
And I'm not a big porter fan, but I love that.
Yeah, so. It is good. When did the beard come into play? When did you start growing the beard?
Started growing the beard.
I don't even know what you would look like without a beard.
Just go to law school. You could look me up.
Is there pictures
of
you?
There's pictures on the second floor in class of 2010. So I was just there last night for one of the films I worked on for the legal. It was showing there last night. So
sweet.
I showed the producer the picture.
That's funny.
So initially I started growing it 2009, 2011. It came off. Oof. And then I had it off for about 2 years, I think. And then it came back, and then I would kind of sometimes go back and forth.
Yeah.
And then when I met Martha, I had the beard. Yeah, my wife. I had the beard. You know, she likes the beard. She's never.
Yeah.
I shaved it once. So Martha was a single mom when we got married, and I adopted Gianna, our eldest, when we got married. But so we got engaged, and then her mom had made a comment like, "Hey, now we need to see you without a beard before we can give the final." Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, whatever. And then I thought about it a little bit, and I was like, it'd be kind of fun to test
Chop
it
this
out.
thing off.
So, so I did. I chopped it off, and I showed up to mass like midday to meet Martha and Gianna, and they had no idea who was sitting. They're like kept looking at me like, who is this guy?
I wouldn't know.
And then they figured out. You know, they obviously it didn't take them that long to figure it out. But so then like all mass, they kind of ignored me, and then at the end, Gianna turned to me and started crying. It was like, grow it back. And Martha turned to me and said, "You have no chin, grow it back."
Yeah.
So it's like, thanks, guys.
All these things that, the ugly truth, right?
So
right.
It has stayed on ever since. And, you know, it varies in length depending on what I'm feeling like. But she likes it long. So
it's very much a part of your personal brand.
Yeah.
Can't miss you.
Yeah.
So at an event, so I see at C9 events, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, there's James.
Yeah,
you can't miss you.
Yeah, it's kind of like Darren with his green,
right? Yeah,
and
Darren
his beard.
His green and his big hair and his beard.
Yeah.
So I met you. You had your own firm. You're flying solo.
Yep.
When did you start JTO?
That I started 2019. So Morby and Olsen closed 2015. I did some solo stuff at that point. I kept some clients. I've got clients from my time with Morby and Olsen still that have kind of, even when I've dabbled in other things or, traveled, have stayed with me, and I've done their work on the side as extra income and whatnot, and now are larger clients. But so I had taken 2 years where I did nonprofit fundraising, and then, like I said, legal on the side. Though that gig kind of went south, and I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And Martha's like, well, why don't you open up your firm again?
Yep.
And so I opened up my firm again, and that was taking on, doing well enough. And the reason I started doing that was we wanted to travel, so we went to Europe for 2 months and took Gianna to Oxford, where I was, and went to Italy and spent some time in Italy. So 2019 is when I started that, and then merged with Scott in just under 2 years ago. So.
And I love that. So I remember those conversations about Scott, and the strengths of Scott and your strengths was completely this is such a fantastic story, because you were able to, Scott told his story on another episode of the podcast, but he had another firm as well, and there's things that he knows he's good at, and there's things that he's not good at, and kind of the same thing with you. It just so happened to be that you two had complementary skill sets that were strengths and complementary weaknesses.
Yep.
Yeah, which I think is fantastic.
Which now we're like, okay, how do we cover the fact that we're wired the same way in these weaknesses, which we've had to figure out.
And I think that's where team members come in, right?
And we've hired for that. So
how big is your firm now?
So it's me and Scott, and then we just hired a paralegal and office manager.
Yeah.
And then our operations manager, and then we've got 2 clerks.
Business good?
So business is very well. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Going
busy?
very well. I am busy.
Yeah.
It's,
You doing good work that you like to do?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So, I mean, a lot of times what I like to do is, and Scott, I think, is wired the same way, is, I mean, our philosophy in legal work is very relational based, and we want to come, alongside the clients and really be there for not only your business stuff, but your family stuff or whatever, whatever you need. And we like the long-term relationships, not just the, hey, you're going to come in, do a deal with us and, pay us money and go. Yeah. I've got plenty of those, but the stuff we enjoy, and I enjoy particularly, is those ones I can really dive deep into someone's business and help them problem solve. And, I still do the entertainment stuff.
Yeah.
That's part of my practice. And so, I've had a couple film projects working on their legal stuff, and that's always helpful for me from a creative standpoint. I started doing that to feed that part of my inner self, right, that enjoys that. And then, I've got a couple business clients that are needing a lot of deep work and a lot of kind of newer, exciting work. So,
we got together for breakfast. I had breakfast. You didn't because of whatever.
I had 2 eggs. I had 2 eggs.
Yeah, 2 poached
Scott
eggs. It was like, oh boy, whatever your diet is.
It pains me because I go to Hope Breakfast Bar and I want to eat the best stuff. It's like ever since he opened that place, Brian. I've been wanting to eat there, and we had changed the way we eat right at that same time, so I can't eat there.
Yeah, and everything is like in grease
but he does poached eggs, so I can eat those.
And good for you. But all right, so. But what it was really cool, and this was my first experience with this, with both of you two, it was fun to watch you two kind of bounce ideas off of each other. So we're starting a nonprofit. You're playing a role I've retained you to be the attorney for that nonprofit as well. And so there's bylaws that need to be created, board roles and responsibilities, filing all that 501c3 crap, all that other stuff, right? Yeah. Watching you two work, it was really cool to see, like, me talking to you prior to joining Seiler. It's lonely, right? You're doing a bunch of stuff that you didn't love doing, but then you also did a bunch of stuff that you love doing. Yeah. Well, now you're able to do the stuff that you really love doing, not do as much of the stuff you don't like doing, but probably necessary evil. Yeah. Just cool seeing the dynamic between you two, and how it's just fun to watch that flourish in such a short period of time. Yeah, and
I think one of the best things that's come out of working with Scott, I think, is something he unlocked in me as far as the confidence level in my legal work, right? So, I mean, I've always either been on my own or done work with one other partner, and I didn't have the normal legal path, right? So I wasn't in a big firm. I wasn't in any firm really, kind of getting that training or those things built in. And so a lot of it was trial by error. Yeah. And then a lot of it, when I came across stuff I didn't know, it was like, okay, well, who do I call? And, I had friends that are attorneys and I knew people that were doing these things, but when I called them, they were all so busy. Yeah. Like, some guys would respond and be like, let's grab lunch like 3 months from now. I'm like, that doesn't help me. Yeah. It doesn't help me now. And so they don't teach you sales in law school, which is why I met you at Coffee and Closes. I was trying to learn sales. Yeah. Because, my philosophy with sales is, again, it's relational. So I'm not a quick salesman. It's more of a, let's build the relationship, and it's a slow burn. Yeah. Like, we'll get there. We'll get to doing business, long game. But it's not, if you need sales. Something tomorrow, like a deal closed on a relationship and I've never met the person. I'm not one that's going to be cold calling someone and saying, hey, let's make this happen. I need to meet them. I need to, sort of build that rapport. And I think I used to be a bit more shy, reserved, whatever, lack confidence in saying, okay, here's my value and here's what it's worth and here's what it's going to cost. Yeah. And, meeting Scott and kind of watching him operate and then working with him just kind of made that easier. And it was like, okay, I can sell 2 of us a lot easier than I can sell just myself. Yeah. And so that's really helped my business, my practice, and then just even those conversations with clients, feeling like, I'm more comfortable saying the things I don't know.
Yeah.
Saying I don't know that, we'll find out, and being okay with that than I used to be. And then, I always know, like, okay, Scott's been through a lot of stuff that I haven't. And so
that mentorship
and vice versa. And so, and so, it's just been a really good fit.
Yeah. Good. So, so have you guys been doing some strategic planning for the future and stuff like that? Like, what do you guys want to do with this thing?
We meet with Erin Wordy on occasion to kind of go over some of that stuff.
She's fantastic.
And she's kind of helping us frame that a little bit. I think we want to expand a bit more, not just the two of us. And I think there are things in the works to potentially bring one more person on by the end of the year here. Cool. That being said, I think we've both talked about the fact that maybe, we're going to cap it like 5 if we ever get to 5, right?
Yep. Keep it boutique.
We're not going to go to large, not large firm, but we're not going to go above that a whole lot unless something really makes sense to do. Yeah. But we like the small, the nimble, being able to have a good time and enjoy each other's company, and it's not just work.
And you guys do a great job of, I don't want to make this too commercial or anything for me, but I think you do a great job making me feel like I'm a big deal. And I don't spend that much with you guys. And we all know that. We're a small little business. But I tell you do a great job of responding super quick and getting my shit done and getting it done right and all that other stuff. Like my personal stuff, all the estate planning, all the stuff that you dealt with my dad when my dad passed away. That was a shit show. Like that was the stuff that I hated anything to do with. And you took a lot of that off my shoulders. So I think making me feel like I was a big fish in a big pond. Now, I know that I'm a small fish in a big pond, but you made me feel different. So I think that's great.
Thanks.
That's my commercial. We already listened to an ad, but that's my legit one. Like I think you guys do fantastic work. And I we've got members that do great work as well in other firms, larger firms and things like that. The only thing I can do is speak firsthand. So my firsthand is that work. Before we jump into nine questions, can you believe how fast this goes? Yeah. How many kids?
4.
4 kids. Ages?
Almost 16.
Yep.
6. Almost 4, and then almost 1.
Sweet. Wow. So. And your wife's name is Martha.
Yep.
I've met your wife. And so how is that 16 to 6 gap? Like that's got to be wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the 2 oldest are the girls and the 2 youngest are boys. We often talked about, okay, how do we fill that gap? Do we adopt and get, so slot some kids in between so that there's not such a big gap for Gianna, more for Gianna's sake, our eldest, because we didn't want her to not have a play pal. Right. Yep. And then, it just never happened. And it was one of those, they have a great relationship. The kids obviously look up to her. In some ways it's probably, we put too much responsibility on her, or can, because it just naturally, that's how she is.
And she's capable.
Yeah. And she's very responsible. And so she babysits and she probably feels sometimes less like a sister and more like a, mini adult with her siblings. But, I think in many ways, they have a very good relationship, and, she's still, Katerina, the younger daughter, pulls her back into doing the things that she used to love doing, like dolls and dress up, and so they have a lot of fun together. I think there's sometimes normal sibling tensions even between the elders, but
sweet,
it's good.
All right, let's take a quick break, listen to a few more of our community supporters. We're going to dive into 9 questions. This is going to be right up James's alley. He loves things being thrown on him, at him without any preparation. So let's dive into that in a second after we listen to these community supporters. Verseek Search and Consulting is thrilled to support Coalition 9 and this podcast, and we are just as excited to have them as a partner. Verseek is a Minnesota-based, high-performance recruiting firm that specializes in interim solutions, direct hire, and executive leadership search. Their team of experienced professionals and seasoned leaders across various areas of expertise and industries have been in your shoes. They quickly assess your whole company and identify key elements that will take your business to the next level. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people, and few areas of your business are more critical than your finance and accounting team. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people. Verseek can help connect you with the talented candidates within finance and accounting, along with other areas of expertise in executive search, direct hire, and interim solutions. People are the ultimate business advantage. Find your people together with Verseek and make the best possible for your business. Learn more and contact Verseek by visiting verseek.com and following them on LinkedIn. Every year brings new challenges for Minnesota business leaders, and USI Insurance is here to take the pressure off of the employee benefits decision. Having a local presence with national resources, USI combines a client-centric culture with leading-edge technical resources so you can make an informed decision on your benefits investment. The USI team has been deeply committed to investing into our local communities and utilizes their expertise to provide solutions you can count on to protect your greatest asset, your employees. USI has been partnering with Twin Cities businesses for decades, and they would welcome the opportunity to do the same for you. Visit USI.com to learn how USI's approach to risk management and employee benefits delivers customized, actionable solutions with bottom-line impact. When you think of a typical CPA firm, you probably think of tax planning. Well, that just scratches the surface of what Boulay offers their clients. By providing smart, in-depth thinking from experts in accounting, audit, tax, and business consulting, they know what it takes to achieve financial success. Whether it's protecting your business, building your wealth, or securing your future, you can count on Boulay to go beyond addressing just financial matters and providing you with tailor-made, workable solutions. Learn about all they have to offer at bouleygroup.com. Boulay, helping you get there. All right, everybody needs a bank. Not just any bank, a good community bank. From personal needs like checking and savings accounts to business services like financing and M&A support, the team at Flagship Bank is there to provide you with the assistance you need so you can spend less time thinking about your finances and more time enjoying what your money can do for you. To learn more, head over to Flagship Banks, that's flagshipbanks with an S.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Flagship Bank, investing in you. If you're an entrepreneur or married to one, your journey is complex. You want financial advice that impacts your whole net worth, including your business, not just stock market investments. You also want a partner that quarterbacks the relationships between the CPA, estate planner, banker, and other trusted advisors. That's where the team at eWealth Partners comes in. We love helping you and your spouse design a financial plan that aligns and empowers you. A plan that addresses your concerns, priorities, and goals tailored to reach your long-term vision. A long-term vision that is worth the pursuit today. Visit ewealthpartners.com to learn how they can help couples like you. eWealth Partners, holistic financial planning for entrepreneurs. Investment advisor services offered through AdvisorNet Wealth Management. eWealth Partners and AdvisorNet Wealth Management are not affiliated. In addition to the community supporters you heard from on the show today, I also want to give a quick shout out to our evolving level community supporters, Carlson Partners, Fluid Interiors, Keystone Group International, Modern Foundation, and Rev Advisory Group. Okay, we're back with James. In my grubby little mitts here, I have 9 questions that I've curated specifically for you.
That I've never seen.
Thank you for answering that. Yes, that you've never seen. I don't think I haven't pulled anything new. So I know you're a listener, so none of these are going to be something that I've never said before. These are all regurgitated, if you will. All right, number 1. Let's start out strong. What is one guilty pleasure that you choose to indulge in? Minus the violin. Just kidding.
I guess bourbon. I like.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did talk about that a little bit before we started recording. Yeah.
The diet would say I'm not supposed to have that very frequently, but I do enjoy having some.
Are you
I'm not a connoisseur by any means.
What's your favorite then? What's your go-to if you're just going to be like, I'm just going to pour myself just a little at the bottom of a glass?
Go-to bourbon?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't even know that I have one.
I'm a Woodford guy. Like I like Woodford. I love Manhattans, so I'll have a Manhattan, and that's my go-to.
What is it? Blanton's? I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I've had it. I don't have it frequently, but oftentimes I'm just drinking the Trader Joe's.
Oh, all right.
Again, I'm not a connoisseur.
That's okay. I didn't ask you about if you're a connoisseur. I asked you what's a guilty pleasure.
I like the old fashioned. So
right. If you could give a TED Talk on anything except something related to your career, and we'll say the legal profession, what would that TED Talk be on?
See, these ones I have not heard, so obviously
You haven't?
I haven't listened to the right.
I have put some new
podcast.
ones out in the
so-
last, we took a break for summer, and I did, these are spring. This is the spring edition that I'm still working off.
A TED Talk.
I have something that I could throw at you that I think would be fascinating. Your experience at De Montreville, doing your like Brian Adamek was on.
Yep.
That's one of the things he wants to do.
Yep.
But like one thing I thought was really cool was one, you had a great experience.
Yeah.
Two, you said to me, like, even though like it's faith focused, it doesn't have to be focused on faith, because I think you literally say nothing.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yes.
right? Like that's
For 4 days.
For
Yes.
4 days.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fascinating thing.
Yeah. So that would be one. And then, as you mentioned, that I think it'd be something I wrote my Catholic studies final thesis paper on, but fasting.
Yeah.
And kind of the power of fasting and the importance of fasting.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
And one time I did fast the silent retreat because I couldn't eat the stuff and I didn't want to have them create.
So you were silent and you didn't eat? Oh my gosh. You're talking about my hell.
I drank a lot of tea and water, but yeah.
Oof.
It was hard because you're sitting there you're just smelling all the food all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And they're all eating cookies and having coffee and
you're not doing any of it.
yeah.
That'd actually be good. I think I'd find that fascinating.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What is one of your hidden talents?
I mentioned it earlier, but it's say photography. So I do, well, I haven't done it lately, but I used to do a lot of travel photography when I would travel and have some published photography. So
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
You post some stuff every once in a while, and obviously it's very good. My challenge to you would be to do it more often.
My own
You're probably
stuff?
shooting all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it part of your social media, like your personal brand.
Yep. Well, I should. I mean, it would help me get out and taking more photos. So.
It would. All right.
Digital kind of messed that up for me because I used to do a lot of black and white, and so I prefer black and white.
It's literally just a filter on your own.
Yeah, I know, but it's.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
I agree, but so when I had my digital camera for the first time, right? Those they didn't have a filter you could put on there.
Yeah.
So I would take photos, and I sort of see things in black and white when I'm taking photos, and so I'd take photos, but then I wouldn't mark down like, okay, change this one to black and white later.
Yeah.
And so then I have to go back through them, and I just get lazy, and I'm like, I'm not going to go back through them. And
You're there for the art, not for the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Anyway, on-air production, that should be something that you do more often.
All right.
Would you rather have super sensitive hearing or super sensitive taste buds?
My default was going to say anything but the hearing because the kids, I have, they get noisy, and I'm like, it just drives me nuts sometimes, and it's overwhelming. But I know people with the super sensitive taste buds, and they only eat.
It sounds miserable.
Yeah, they only eat like cheese, quesadillas, and pasta, and I love food, so I think I'd probably go with the super sensitive hearing.
Yeah,
I could put earmuffs on.
That's
you
what
can't
I mean.
really you can't really do anything for your tongue.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think we're 50-50 on that with people that have answered that different ways. But I'm with you on the hearing thing. If I were to ask your best friend what you're most known for, what would that person say?
Probably being loyal and there, when needed. So
Loyalty.
Yeah,
that's good. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Lessons can be expensive. Don't pay for them twice. So my dad would say that, when we mess up, he'd be like, it's an expensive lesson. Don't pay for it twice.
Yeah.
I haven't always listened to that, but
that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one. That's good. I have to remember that. What are 3 words, single words, what are 3 words that describe you?
I think I'd say authentic, loyal.
Yeah.
Trustworthy. I don't know.
Yeah. That's great. All good qualities in a friend and an attorney.
Yes.
What was your first car?
Well, so there were 2 as far as there's the family car that I first drove, and then my first car.
I want both of these. Yeah.
So the first car I drove was a Chrysler minivan.
Huh?
And then
I think you drive a minivan now.
I
So
drive a
it's
minivan
It's
now,
clearly
so
in your
yeah,
blood.
Yes.
Yep,
And
good.
then first car was a Subaru Legacy.
Yeah.
Hatchback, stick,
Stick.
maroon colored. So
Yeah.
ugly
Nice.
little thing, but it was good. It was a good ski mobile because growing up in Issaquah, it's right at the foothills of the Cascades. So
Yeah.
and then I would. I was a ski instructor in high school, and so we'd go up. We'd basically pack all our stuff in the car, get out of school, and go up to the ski hills and ski. So
Sweet. Was it a nice car, or was it a beater?
no, I mean it was nice enough. It was.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't rusting or anything.
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
No,
Good.
I mean,
All right. Last one. That went fast.
Yeah.
How would you define happiness?
it's a good question. As far I haven't thought about how I define happy. I mean, doing what one ought.
Meanwhile,
I'm listening to
in the background.
Listen to
the
booze going on.
You know that there's bourbon going in that
Like-
glass. Yeah. You know there's bourbon going in that glass.
Bourbon, we'll
especially
say
at
bourbon.
this place.
No, I guess being true to oneself and I guess I don't have a good definition for happiness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think being true to oneself is
Yeah.
is a very
Because I think if you're true to yourself, the circumstances can be anything, and you're still okay, right? And it's not. I'm not one that likes definition shifting with moods.
Yeah.
Or shifting with time.
Yeah. I like it. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Good answer. All right, we did it. So I want more people to get to know you and get to know who you are, and that's a big part of why you're on this podcast because I love amplifying really cool stories. I got to tell you, I'm a huge fan of yours. You're an OG C9er, so you've been in since like day one. You were in when we were doing stuff in COVID and beta testing things, and you belong for the ride for a long time. Your firm, you and Scott financially support us to make sure this podcast and our community is a real thing. I can't thank you enough, man. So more people need to know who you are. So fire away.
Yeah. So you just want how to get a hold of me, or
Yeah. So I've had people give their cell phone numbers. If you want to do that, go for it.
I don't know that I would get my cell phone number.
Not
on
my
here, but,
thing. Yeah.
Email is probably the easiest. J Olsen OLSEN at Seiler Law SEILER.com.
Yep.
LinkedIn. So again, the J Olsen at SeilerLaw.com. Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best social media place to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram. I'm not there very frequently, but
Where do you post? Where do you post any of your photos?
Norse by Northwest.
Okay.
And yeah, I posted some photos traveling in Europe there. I haven't been as frequent on that in part because I remove apps when I can. So
yeah, clean it up.
So I occasionally go on there, but rarely put anything up there.
Well, I think
so I'd say LinkedIn's probably the best.
I think so. You're pretty active on that.
I'm active on
one of the
LinkedIn,
things I do like about your style is that you're active. Attorneys, it's hard, right? Because there's all that other stuff, but you're really thoughtful about the stuff you post and you like and all that other stuff. So I think I'd just say, first of all, just from my perspective, email is great, but I think LinkedIn, a follow or connection is going to be a great spot to start. Yeah.
Yeah. And on there you can get me and the firm and Scott and whoever
all
else
that
you
stuff.
want.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Start posting more photos.
I will.
LinkedIn. They need
Well,
they need a
Nikolai
little
always
bit
tells
more.
me to do more videos. So
Yeah, fine, videos, whatever. I say baby step it. Like, let's do some photos first.
I'll
then
do
let's work on
photos
the
first,
videos.
and we'll get to videos, Nikolai.
Yeah. All right. I hope he's listening. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate
means
all
a
you're
lot.
doing and having me on. So
Yeah, thanks, brother.
finally made it happen.
Yep, finally. And not having any kids or anything like that helps.
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll see where that goes. All right, on behalf of James, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.